Hello, everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today, we are going to start a new series on Indian Contract Acts 1872. In this series, we will cover the entire Act and main provisions of the Act which are relevant for students to study. And this course shall be useful basically for LLB students and all those students who are studying Contract Act, whether in LLB or in any other course. So I request first of all for those who have not yet subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. That will encourage me to make more such videos. So we'll get started. First of all, in this lecture, we are going to cover the introduction part of the Indian Contract Act. So I'll give an overview of what the Contract Act is all about, what are the various sections. So let's start. This is basically the syllabus of the fifth paper, that is contract examination of LLB CCSU University, that is Merit University. And this is the syllabus which has to be covered. So I will try to cover the entire syllabus, and which is the topics which will be covered in this series are not only confined to this syllabus, but we will try to cover basically for the course for the LLB students, right? So this is the various structure of the entire syllabus, that what are the contracts, how is a contract done, who are the parties to the contract, what do you mean by privity of a contract, what is lawful object, what is consideration, and who is a minor, is minor eligible to do a contract, what is the consent required for a contract, what are the forms of contract, what are voidable void contracts, and all the relationships which are formed during the contract. Everything shall be covered in this particular series of the lecture for Indian Contract Act 1872. So to start with, let's understand some basic facts of the act. First of all, this is the act number 9 of 1872. मतलब ये 1872 का 9th act है. Then it came into force on 1st September 1872. This act has 11 chapters and 266 sections. Now, I would like to also suggest that if you are noting down, keeping the PDF of this particular session with you, this can act as a, I would say, notes also for all the students who are viewing this particular series. So this act has 11 chapters and 266 sections. So you can take photograph by keeping the stopping the video, so that will act as a note for you. And what is the preamble? Preamble of every act means the basis on which this act is made. ठीक है, प्रियम्बल का बेसिकली मतलब होता है कि क्या क्या बेसिक पर्पस है इस एक्ट का. ठीक है, तो इट सेज दैट वेयर एज इट इज एक्सपेडिएंट टू डिफाइन एंड अमेंड सर्टन पार्ट्स ऑफ द लॉ रिलेटेड टू कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स. सो इस पर्टिकुलर एक्ट का ऑब्जेक्टिव ये है कि वो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स के बेसिक पार्ट्स को डिफाइन करेगा या अमेंड करेगा ऑल द रूल्स रिलेटेड टू कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स. अमेंडमेंट इसलिए ऐड किया है कि 1872 से पहले जितने भी कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स रिलेटेड एक्ट्स रहे हैं उन सबको एमैलगमेट करके, उन सबको ज्वाइन करके, उन सबको इंसर्ट करके ये एक्ट इंडियन कॉन्ट्रैक्ट एक्ट में डिफाइन किया गया है. सो इट विल ऑल्सो डिफाइन सर्टन थिंग्स विच आर रिलेटेड टू कॉन्ट्रैक्ट, और इट विल ऑल्सो अमेंड सर्टन लॉज जो 1872 से पहले चल रहे हैं. इस एक्ट से पहले के जो लॉज हैं उनको अमेंड करके इस एक्ट में डाला गया है. सो दिस इज़ द बेसिक प्रियम्बल ऑफ द कॉन्ट्रैक्ट एक्ट की बेसिक स्ट्रक्चर क्या है. मतलब ये एक्ट पूरा कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स के बारे में डिफाइन करेगा, कॉन्ट्रैक्ट के रिलेटेड लॉज जो पहले से थे उनको अमेंड करके नए रूल्स बताएगा. ठीक है, सो जैसा मैंने बताया, एज आई हैव ऑलरेडी सेड दैट दिस इज द अरेंजमेंट ऑफ सेक्शंस एंड इट हैज़ 11 चैप्टर्स एंड 266 सेक्शंस इन दिस पर्टिकुलर एक्ट. ठीक है, सो आई इन दिस स्लाइड यू कैन सी the chapters on the left side and then sections and then the content, what basically the content is. क्योंकि मैंने बताया this first lecture is an overview part. So in this overview we are going to cover the 11 chapters, 266 sections and what are the contents, basic contents in each chapter. So पहला जो preliminary section है उसमें 2 sections cover होते हैं. First is the title, short title, and the second is interpretation clause. Interpretation clause is like a definition clause of various sections. जैसे आपने दूसरे एक्ट्स में भी देखा होगा कि always the section 2 of all the major acts you see in any act it is the definition section, wherein all the major terms which are used in the contracts are defined. For example, when I say what is a contract, or if I say a contract, if I use this word proposal, so what does the proposal word mean? That will be defined in this particular interpretation clause, correct? And similarly, there are other words which are used in the act, in the entire act. So those words are first defined, are interpreted in this interpretation clause, the clause number, section number 2, right? So first chapter mein first is preliminary, which defines the basic context, that is the short title and the interpretation clause, you can see here. Second is the chapter 1, which has 3 sections from 3 to 9, and it covers what is a communication of contract, what is accepting of a contract, what is revocation of proposals, how is a proposal made. All these things are being told in chapter number 1. Then chapter 2 is from section 10 to 30, 20 sections हैं इसमें. उसमें it talks about contracts, what are actual contracts, what are voidable contracts, what are void agreements. See, this particular video is giving only a overview. I am again and again saying that I will cover all these chapters in detail in my coming videos. Chapter 3 is from section 31 to 36, which talk about contingent contract. Contingent का मतलब अगर ऐसा हो तो ऐसा हो, आज बारिश आएगी तो मैं कॉन्ट्रैक्ट करूंगा, या आज बारिश आएगी तो मैं अपना फ़ोन बेचूंगी. सो दिस इज़ अ कंटिजेंट, कि बारिश हुई तो मेरे फ़ोन का मैं कॉन्ट्रैक्ट में गई. सो दैट इज़ अ कंटिजेंट कॉन्ट्रैक्ट, राइट? Then we'll cover in detail the 7 sections talked about in chapter 3. Then in chapter 4, it is from section 37 to 67, which talks about performance of the contract. How is a contract performed, that is executed. It will talk about in chapter 4. Chapter 5 will talk from section 68 to 72. It will show the certain relations resembling those created by the contracts. Means if there is a contract between two parties, say A and B, if they are into a contract with each other, then how are their relationships governed? So that will be maintained and studied in chapter number 5. To continue, chapter 6 talks about sections from 73, 74 and 75, which talks about what are the consequences of breach of a contract. Breach का मतलब contract को तोड़ना. So अगर कोई contract को breach करता है, तोड़ता है, तो क्या consequences होंगे, उसके बारे में chapter 6 बताता है. Chapter 7, which was initially made in 1872, it was made, but later on this part, this section, chapter 7, which typically deals with sales of good act, उसको इसमें से रिपील कर दिया गया. मतलब इंडियन कॉन्ट्रैक्ट एक्ट 1872 में से डिलीट कर दिया गया, क्योंकि सेल्स ऑफ गुड एक्ट के सारे टर्म्स एंड कंडीशन सेल्स ऑफ गुड एक्ट 1930 के हिसाब से गवर्न होंगे. दिस वॉज टोल्ड. सो फ्रॉम सेक्शन 76 to 123 दिस एक्ट इज डिलीटेड, रिपील्ड. रिपील मीन्स इट इज टेकन बैक. So that is not valid. So anything related to sale of good will only be found out in Sales of Good Act 1930 and not in Indian Contract Act, right? Then is chapter 8. Chapter 8 is from section 124 to 147. It talks about indemnity and guarantee. Indemnity means insurance, a kind of insurance. I will really make a very beautiful video on this part कि indemnity क्या होता है और guarantee क्या होता है contracts में. कौन किसकी indemnity ले सकता है contract में, कौन किसकी guarantee ले सकता है contracts में. This is being covered in chapter number 8. Chapter 9 talks about bailment and pledge from 148 to 181. What is bailment? What is pledge? Everything will be covered in this chapter. Chapter 10, which is actually the last chapter of Indian Contracts Act, is from section 182 to 238, which talks about agency. What are the various agencies involved in particular contract? And the last is chapter 11, which is now repealed. Repealed, I told, which is now deleted, which talks about partnership in a contract. So it is also repealed and it has moved to Indian Partnership Act. So from 239 to 266, actually it is sections are till 238. But if there is a question on how many sections are there in Indian Contracts Act 1872, one has to answer that there are 266 sections, of which chapter number 7 and chapter number 11, which is related to sales of goods and partnership, has been deleted from Indian Contracts Act. So this is the overview, that it has 11 chapters, I repeat, and 266 sections. What are the chapters talked about? I have told. So we'll start with the first, that is preliminary section. So first is the short title. Short title means of the full name, what is the short name? In this particular act, the short name is same as the full name, that is Indian Contract Acts 1872, and it extends to whole of India. Now, except Jammu and Kashmir, that has been removed. So it extends to whole of India. From the next video, we will start with the interpretation clause. That is, what are the meaning of the words which are used in the particular Indian Contract Act. So I hope you liked this video. Please do like, share with your friends, and subscribe to my channel to encourage me, to motivate me to make more such videos. Take care, stay blessed, goodbye. Thank you.